Hi, this is Ashio, and welcome back to Echo. We finished Cole's route in the last episode. It got a little bit dark, and we kind of expected that it would. And also, I think this time we're going to check out Flynn's route. So, I've heard things about Flynn's route, and I've heard it's a little bit on the spicy side. I've got a reputation to maintain, you know, so if things get a little bit too spicy, I'm going to have to skip and give you a quick summary on what went down. So, yeah, don't hate me for that. It's kind of how I want to go about things. And this is what we're going to do. Here we go. This is the big moment where we make our decision on what route we want to do. So we know that Flynn has a big accusation toward TJ, asking what happened to Sydney, the kid who passed away, mutual friend from all of their youth. So, yeah, he's quite confrontational about it. And we're going to pursue Flynn. So we've done TJ, we've done Cole. And this time, we're going to check out Flynn. I look back at Flynn as he winds his way down the trail toward the road. I sigh angrily, starting toward him. Chase, I wouldn't. Someone's got to talk sense to that idiot. He thinks he can just get away with this shit. You know how he is. I keep walking. He's moving pretty slow, so it's easy to catch up with him. He's got his hands jammed into his pockets as he walks along, head down. Hey, Flynn. He jerks his head up and looks back around at me. He's chewing on the toothpick, which he probably pulls out of his muzzle. The hell? The fuck you think you're doing, Chase? Go back. Yeah, right. You think you could just walk away from me after saying shit like that? He stops walking and turns around to fully face me. I step up right in front of him, just a few feet away. He looks me over and, for some reason, I can see a smile threatening to crack his face as he tries to keep it hidden. Yeah, and what you gonna do about it? I shrug. Talk. We were having a good time. Why do you have to go and turn everything good? He suddenly steps up close, thrusting his chest out into me. It hits me around the neck and I stumble back. I'm not in the mood. He sticks the toothpick back in the muzzle before he turns and starts walking away again. Go back to the river so you can all talk about what an arsehole I am. What? I watch him go for a bit. I'm not too worried about Flynn actually beating me up. I'd annoyed him pretty bad before, but he hadn't actually ever hurt me, at least not maliciously. On top of that, he'd have Leo to answer to if he ever did anything like that, and he knows how that would end up. Still, he did look pretty angry when he stepped toward TJ, more than I'd ever seen him probably. Now might not be the best time to do this. I want to follow the guy, but I'm curious, what happens if you turn back? Definitely not worth it. I really don't want to make things worse than they already are. I sigh, watching the broad shoulders of the Goliath get smaller and smaller before I turn back. One of the others probably needs my company more than Flynn. Oh, you can just leave him? Nah, that's not happening. Load up. So quite early on, quite easily, you can abandon that guy. We're gonna pursue. Screw him. Once again, he thinks the act of an arsehole could just brush off whoever he doesn't want to talk to. Well, I'm about to show him exactly why that doesn't work when it's a stubborn otter he's up against. I start following again, doing a little jog to catch up. This time, Flynn hears me and whirls around, putting the toothpick out of his mouth again. Your ears filled with water? I said fuck off! I flinch a little under his yelling, but I square my shoulders and walk up to him, standing my ground. Now I'm only 3 feet away. Oh what? Gonna hit me? Really? Go on, try it. I look him in the eye, and immediately I know I have nothing to worry about. This is Flynn after all, one of my best friends. Whether or not he'd even admit it, our little group is family, no matter how many stupid fights we get into. He's trying to scare me though, with the way he's leaning over me glaring. I just smirk up at him, and pretty soon I see his facade crack. He slumps down, letting out one massive sigh, deflating like a life-size lizard balloon. Fucking otters. What do you want? I want you to stop being a dick. Flynn looks right back at me and glares, some of the posturing coming back. What? Oh Christ, you heard me. That is not a good thing to say to me right now. Flynn starts leaning over me again, and I lean right back, almost bumping muzzles. Yeah, well, everything you said back there was not a good thing to say. I see the corner of one of his eyes twitch. We're so close I can smell the beer on his breath. I see that smirk tug at his muzzle again. Coming in for a kiss. He presses even closer, and I feel my muzzle flush, but I'm not backing down. I see how it is. You're bored with Leo, and now you want some lizard action, eh? No, I just want an explanation. He raises a brow and leans back a little. Of why you're being such a dick when we're all supposed to be having fun. Actually, I think I know exactly what this is. You're trying to prove me wrong. Well, being an obnoxious twit doesn't suddenly mean you've got a personality. Anyway, they told me to speak my mind. I did. He turns away again and starts walking. I quickly catch up and start walking alongside him. That's not an answer. Besides, even if something's true, it doesn't mean you have to point it out in the middle of everybody's vacation. Flynn keeps walking, opting to glare at the dusty trail. Do you really think I'm just looking to bone all of you? I'm not. Flynn laughs, and for once, it's not cynical. It's genuine. I think what you're doing right now isn't helping your case, Chase. What? I'm just trying to figure out what the hell's wrong with you, Flynn. Oh, phone. My phone buzzes and I put it out. You okay? It's Leo. It's a text from Leo. Everything's fine. I'm just trying to talk to Flynn. Flynn snorts right in my ear, making me jump. I jerk my phone away as I realise he's been reading over my shoulder. What? Wolfie boy thinks I'm gonna clock you for being annoying. You almost hit TJ. Almost. At this point, we're walking along Lake Emma Road, the trail winding between it and the reservoir itself. There's a little guardrail on the lakeside, but it's rusty, and I seriously doubt it would stop any car from going over into the lake. Another 10 minutes, and we're going to reach the motel. Oh, phone. As I get another response from Leo. Hello? If he does anything, call me. Flynn sighs again. He stops, and I turn to face him. He looks sad for once, staring hard at the ground. I just sort of blacked out for a second. I was angry. That's what murderers say after they kill their exes? Jesus, Chase. Well, okay. I fucked up. Yeah, no shit. It's just something that's been fucking with me ever since it happened. That he's not telling the truth. Flynn looks up at me sharply. You know he isn't. Flynn stares at me hard, as if he's looking for something, and this time, I do look away. Well, what if he is? No, you saw him right after it happened, how scared he was, how he couldn't look at any of us. I have no idea what to say. Flynn never talks about this. Before today, the last time I'd heard him mention Sydney was like 6 years ago. It really fucked me up. And that we thought we could just come back to this stupid fucking lake. He kicks his foot across the ground toward the reservoir, some pebbles falling over the steep drop and plopping into the water. It fucked us all up, but Flynn most of all. Okay, if you've seen TJ's route especially, and how that ended, this is a situation. Okay, we're gonna keep moving. Look, Flynn, maybe something did happen? Something he doesn't want to tell us. But it's TJ, you know what kind of person he is. And that's what makes it so fucking shitty. But we were kids. He was like 10 years old. We're different people now. Looking behind Flynn, I see Leo's van coming up the road. Flynn waits for me to go on, but he sees me looking back and does so himself. As soon as he sees the van, he folds his arms and turns his head to look out across the lake. As it pulls up alongside us, the window rolls down, and I see Jenna in the passenger seat, Leo next to her. Hey, we're heading back. Wanna get in? Flynn doesn't say anything, instead choosing to continue staring at the lake. I decide that it's probably a good idea for me to walk with him, instead of making him do it alone. Nah, it's alright, we're just talking. Leo shifts his gaze to Flynn, studying him, before turning back to me. Okay, text me later, okay? Okay. The window rolls back up as the van pulls away, kicking up some dust from the roadside as it does. I turn back to Flynn, who's still looking at the lake, chewing softly on his toothpick. That's when his stomach growls so loudly it almost makes me jump. I snort, and Flynn fixes me with a glare. What? I didn't get to eat. Neither did I, and it's your fault. Flynn grunts and keeps walking up the trail toward Echo, the town's windows and rusted signs glinting in the desert haze. I skip up alongside him. Hey, why don't we go to the diner? It's just a few minutes away. Flynn grimaces. I can't eat that shit anymore. What? When's the last time you ate there? A few years ago. Wow. What do you eat then? Flynn laughs. I go to Paynton, where they actually have grocery stores. Oh, okay. A few moments of silence pass before Flynn speaks up again. I guess it wouldn't hurt to eat there again, for old time's sake. Okay, as we walk into the diner, my senses are assaulted by nostalgia. Everything looks and smells the same, from the faded patched stalls to the smell of burgers and fries. Out of habit, I start walking toward the corner booth, the one we always used to sit at. Where are you going? I look back at Flynn. He's standing near the counter, looking ready to sit on one of the stools. Oh, come on, Flynn. Those are uncomfortable. Besides, it'll be easier to talk. Some of the patrons are starting to look up from their meals. Flynn looks around, clearly embarrassed, and shoves his hands into his pockets, making his way over to me. Fine. I slide into the booth, into my usual spot on the right-hand side. Usually Leo would sit next to me. Flynn sits opposite me, leaning back, eyes half open. Tired? Yeah. I wait for him to elaborate, but he doesn't go on. There is one question I have. Most of the characters in this game are basically mammals. I haven't seen many reptiles. I don't know if this is much of a thing, or if this is kind of like the diner would only have like mammals as customers. I'm not sure. You up late? Flynn reaches up and rubs his eyes. Yeah. The long breath he takes in before he says that tells me he's starting to get annoyed, so I drop it. Luckily that's when Janice, our old diner waitress, comes over to our table. Chase, my goodness, what are you doing here? Hey Janice, I'm just doing a school project. Oh really? I wonder what sort of schooling might be here for you. I'm actually just trying to get some film of the town. Flynn's covering both his eyes with his hands now, as if that's going to make him invisible. And you, Flynn? I can't say I've seen you at all recently. Flynn makes a low grunting sound, not taking his hands away. Janice keeps talking though, unfazed. Well, anything you'd like to drink while you're deciding on your meal? Water? Chase? Water, Coke, root beer, float, strawberry shake. Let's have water as well. Let's match Flynn. Just water, thanks. Thank you. Sure. Flynn does move his hands at this point and looks at me. His expression's odd, like he wants to say something. I look back and raise my brows, but he just shuts his muzzle and looks out the window. Okay, I'll be right back with you. As Janice moves on to some other patrons, I look back at Flynn. You gonna say something? Flynn shakes his head, folding his arms on the table and hunching forward. No. Somehow his mood is even darker than it was earlier. I sigh, frustrated. It's so damn hard to understand Flynn. His mood swings are absolutely ridiculous. I lean back and fold my arms, scowling. What? You know exactly what? I'm trying to be friendly here. Flynn shrugs, a bewildered expression on his face. I don't know what to say, Chase. It's been a shitty day. I don't say anything, and just look out the window like Flynn. Again, there's a tense silence between us. I just listen to the clatter of silverware from the two other people in the diner, along with the old rockabilly music playing over the crackly speakers. Finally, Flynn sighs. I decide that's his signature expression, like Cole's shrug. Sorry, I'm just, like I said, it's been a shitty day. It's fine. That's when Janice brings over our drinks, before taking a notepad out to take our orders. Okay, what do you have? Tuna melt, onion rings. And you? Roast beef sandwich, bacon cheeseburger, tuna melt. I'll take roast beef, maybe? Yes, please. Alrighty, and what do you want on the side? Fries, onion rings. I do like them onion rings. Please. Flynn is staring at me in a weird squinting sort of way, as if he's trying to see something. Great, I'll have it right over. Sit tight. As Janice bustles away, I look to the side and then back at Flynn. What? Flynn keeps squinting, his face incredulous now. Do you really not? What? He doesn't finish and instead shakes his head. Never mind. Seriously, you kinda freaking me out? Flynn chuckles and covers his eyes again, rubbing. Same. The hell's he talking about? I'm opening my mouth to ask again, but he cuts me off. Listen, I got the day off tomorrow. Do you want to do something? I stare at him, at a loss for words. First, he's acting like a complete douche, then he tells me I'm scaring him, and now he's inviting me to hang out with him. Is he, what do you call it, bipolar? I guess? Okay, I'll come by sometime afternoon, maybe with Cole. He doesn't do shit, so he should be free. Okay, I guess I could use a break from working on the project for a bit. Flynn goes on to tell me that he and Leo often go out to the fish bar on their days off, and that it's actually a lot of fun. I'm still trying to get used to the shifting conversation when Janice shows up with our food. Flynn stares down at his giant greasy sandwich while I take a giant bite of mine. Fuck, I'm gonna regret this. Why? Tastes great, dude. Well, you're lucky. This kind of food fucks up my stomach. Do you make your own food? Yeah. I snort, and Flynn looks up sharply. Sorry, it's just kind of hard to imagine. Hey, I'm a real good cook. I guess the expression on my face is showing I don't buy it, because he smirks back at me. Fine, sometime this week you're coming over. I'll show you then. I shrug, even though I feel like I've won some kind of secret battle that we were having. Deal. Okay, we kind of chilled him out a little bit. Flynn pulls me over rocks and boulders. I stumble along, trying to keep my balance. Flynn's insistent though, almost angry. We reach the edge of the lake, and he throws me down. I stare at the wet sand, and then back up at Flynn. He points and tells me to dig. I start digging. I don't know what I'm looking for, and I ask, but Flynn doesn't say anything. Water keeps filling the hole. It's hard to keep sand from sliding back in. Finally, I reach in deep, and someone grabs my paw. I stay like that for a long time. That's weird. And we've made it to Tuesday. We'll keep going for a bit more, I think so. How's this look? Carl dangles the lure in front of himself, bouncing it around. Flynn squints it incredulously. I'm pretty sure his muzzle would be hanging open if he didn't have a toothpick in his mouth. Jesus fucking Christ, Carl, what is that? What? Carl has tied the spinner in a giant ugly knot, the string sticking out every which way. This is why I told you to fucking wait. I guess Carl had gotten impatient and decided to tie his own lure, while Flynn helped me with mine. Okay, we're off fishing. Flynn takes out a knife from his pocket and takes the spinner from Carl, scowling. I'd throw this away if I didn't have so fucking few of them. What's wrong with you, Carl? Carl shoves his paws into his pockets as he watches Flynn struggle with getting the knot fixed. I don't see what the big deal is. It's attached, isn't it? He looks at me and grins, shrugging his shoulders. I shrug back. You made it so fucking big it's not gonna spin right? Flynn's muttering angrily under his breath, squeezing his forearms to his chest as he tries to keep his fingers steady. Carl rolls his eyes and looks over at me and grins. Why we got a fish with these when we got an otter with us? I'm willing. That's not the point. Flynn almost growls, prodding and poking at the messy knot. It's about relaxing, and how's Chase gonna relax swimming around the whole time? He finally seems to get a handle on the mess and starts tugging out line. And how am I gonna relax with you fucking everything up? The line finally drops away from the spinner. That's what I get for bringing a pothead along. Hey, I'm straight right now. Flynn snickers. You sure about that? Carl rolls his eyes again. Ask Chase. I sit on a rock as I slowly reel in my line, watching my spinner glisten under the water. Why are you asking me? You have, what's it called? A gaydar? Isn't the idea that everybody has it? He doesn't respond as Flynn starts showing him how to actually tie the line. I come up empty and cast the line out again, listening to the clicking whir of the wheel before the spinner lands with a plop in the middle of the pond. I was wondering where Flynn would go to fish since he wouldn't go to Emma, obviously. Turns out he and Leo found this pond 20 minutes outside of town, deep into the wilderness. Unsurprisingly, no one comes here, which is why Flynn says the fishing's good. There definitely is something calming about being out in the middle of nowhere, especially with the repetitive motions of fishing to keep you occupied. Finally, Flynn finishes showing Carl how to cast, and the ram launches his spinner out, almost all the way to the other side of the pond. Careful, idiot, if you get it snagged at the other end, I'm gonna whoop your ass. Oh, lay off, Flynn. Carl reels in fast and casts out again, making a pew sound as he does it. Flynn sighs before walking up next to me, watching as I reel in much slower. I feel a little self-conscious with the way he stands over me, worried I'm doing something wrong. Sure enough, he steps forward, his chest up against my back as he grips the pole. Grab it above the reel post? Here. He holds the rod and then grabs my paw and slides it up the pole. That way you can really grip it when you catch something. He's right up against my back, arms wrapped around me. I swallow and try to focus on the pole. I mean, maybe Flynn does have a point that Chase is a little bit horny for his friends. Okay. I hear him give a low chuckle in his throat and I glare. Of course, he knows what he's doing right now with my paws on the pole. He's probably rubbing in what he said yesterday. I decide to respond by sliding my tail up the inside of his leg, and I feel him shift against me, his chuckle turning into a grunt of surprise. The hell are you guys doing? Flynn lets go of the pole and steps back as Carl watches us, his face screwed up in exaggerated disgust. Showing him how to fish? Now it's your turn, fatty. Cole pauses on his reeling. It's not like we haven't done this before. Plus, I don't know if I want to feel your cloaca on my ass. Too bad. I focus back on fishing, still feeling a little warm from the close encounter I just had with Flynn. I'm a little angry that he'd try that, especially so soon after what had happened. I try to focus back on how relaxing the motions are, sweeping the lake clockwise as I cast out again and again. If I really did want to catch a fish though, I'd be swimming in the water right now. It isn't hard to do. I've done it several times when I was younger in the reservoir. Of course it's less relaxing since you have to actively search for the fish rather than just sit placidly until one bites your lure. I've never killed one before though. Careful, Cole! I wince and look to the side, seeing Flynn covering his head and ducking as Cole's lure bounces and swings around above him. You didn't let go of the fucking button? Cole shrugs and starts to swing his pole around, trying to unwrap the line from his pole. Well, if you weren't right up against my tail, you wouldn't have to worry about it. I'm trying to show you? Kapew! Alright, Cole launches his lure over the pond so far that it almost lands on the opposite bank. It does, however, wrap tightly around a branch, sticking up from a fallen log in the shadows. Unfucking believable. Ah, shit, He starts tugging and pulling, trying to get it untangled from the log. No, stop. You're gonna have to walk around the edge and get it. What? There's fucking cacti on the edges. No way in hell. Too bad. That's one of my last fucking lures. What? Come on. Cole's shoulders slump as he looks out across the pond. I sigh and set down my pole and start stripping my shirt off, followed by my pants. After a pause, I decide to take off my boxers too. It's not like Jenna's here. Oh, we are naked. It takes them a while to stop arguing, now about the plural form of cactus, is cacti, and realise that I'm now nude. Chase? I'll get the damn lure, just stop arguing. Just wanted an excuse to give us a little striptease, huh? Shut up, we've all seen each other naked. I do try to angle my hips away so they can't see my balls and cock, alright, which is hard to do considering I've got a pretty steep bank to wobble over. I manage it though, and pretty soon I'm sludging through thick mud. Careful, I don't know what the fuck's in there. Didn't you say no one comes here? I don't get his response because I dive in right after that, the familiar feeling of water closing up around me, cutting off air and sound. Again, it's a huge relief to be back in the water, and I drift toward the bottom. It's not deep at all, and the water here has a slimy feel that I don't like. Still, it's better than nothing, and I undulate slowly across the pond. It doesn't take long to reach the log, as it's only about 30 feet away. I have to bob a few times to the surface to look around though, since the water's too murky to see through. I'm actually kinda starting to regret doing this. I try to remember if I have any cuts or sores I'm gonna have to douse in peroxide later. That's when one of my paws bumped the log and I bob back up to the surface, wiping a paw across my eyes. I see the line glinting above me, some drops of pond water clinging to it. I reach up and grasp it between my index and thumb and follow it to the branch. I feel Cole give it a few tugs. Hey, Chase, Flynn says there's leeches in the pond. I hear a loud smack, followed by a yelp. Don't fucking yank it around, you wanna snag his eyeball? I ignore them as I search for the lure. I continue to follow the line until I lean over the log and spot the spinner shimmering in the sunlight, the hook wedged into the soft wet wood. It comes out easily and I carefully lift it, making sure I'm out of the way of the hook in case Cole decides to yank the line again. When I turn around, I'm glad to see that Flynn's got the pole now. I hold up the lure to show him and let it drop back into the water, Flynn slowly starting to reel it back in. I go back in, slowly swimming back to the opposite bank. It's at that point I see a silver flash to the right of my field of vision. I look over and see a fish swimming lazily over some plant life on the bottom of the pond. I pause and would have smiled if my mouth wasn't going to fill with pond water. It would be funny, after all this time with their lures and poles, for me just to pop out of the water, fish in paw. I swim over to it slowly, lingering to the side so I won't block the sunlight before diving down and snatching it up. I latch in my claws to keep it from escaping as I give a little wiggle with delight. It's been a long time since I've done this, but it looks like I've still got it. I turn and start swimming back to Flynn and Cole, and that's when I suddenly feel like I'm being watched. It's not the typical feeling though. This is much more intense. I pause and look back over my shoulder and then forward again. It's pointless because everything's cloudy. I can't see more than 10 feet. I've sunk down to the bottom of the pond, both of my feet resting in deep muck as I crouch, trying to figure out where the feeling's coming from. It doesn't help that my head is starting to buzz, a tone building in my head that sounds like an orchestra tuning. I haven't been down that long. I shouldn't be running out of air. Of course, I should just swim up to the surface where it's bright and safe, but I don't, because this feels too familiar. I think back to when I was 12, playing in the abandoned school with Cole. I was hiding from him in the second floor classroom when I felt this exact feeling. Intense, almost physical, like a hand was grabbing into the back of my neck. I look around again, and then finally look down at the fish in my paws. And now, I know where it's coming from. Before I know it, I'm whipping upwards, breaking through the surface in less than a second, and swimming towards my friends. I stumble up onto the bank, splashing water everywhere as I do. I'm not holding the fish anymore. The fuck are you doing? I try to steady my breathing, hoping they'll just think it's because I was down for so long, rather than me being freaked the fuck out. Carl's laughing next to Flynn, as I start pressing my paws down my body, trying to speed up the drying process. What? Carl shrugs, but Flynn smacks him upside the head again. He pissed in the water while you were under. Oh, great. Honestly, I don't really care right now. I wouldn't worry about it. You didn't come up near it, and there was probably worse in there anyway. Speaking of which, why don't you go further up the stream and wash up? I don't want you bringing pond shit into my truck. Okay. I sigh and pick up my clothes. I'm just glad that they seemingly haven't noticed anything's off. Luckily for me, Flynn parked right next to the stream, so it's easy to find. It's freezing cold though compared to the pond, so I get washed up quickly. I gasp as I splash the water over my body, shivering before I stand back and start squeezing the water out of my fur again. Everything okay? I jump and look back. Flynn's leaning against his truck, arms folded, watching me. I blush. It was easier to be naked in front of the two of them, but for some reason, it just being Flynn makes it way more embarrassing. I turn back around, pressing my tail harder against my arse, as I wave my hands up and down trying to dry off. Yeah, you come for a show? Yeah, always wanted to see the naked otter mimicking a bird. Shut up, I'm just trying to dry off. Flynn doesn't say anything, so I just turn around, not even bothering to cover up, paws on my hips. Okay, seriously, you just come to see me naked? He hasn't moved at all, but he cracks a smile. Maybe. I don't let that trip me up, and instead thrust my hips out, legs spread. Well, there you go. I got a child in my truck? He's still smiling, and his eyes definitely aren't on mine. Flynn has flirted with me before, even while I was dating Leo. I vaguely remember there being some altercations between the two. I make my way toward the truck, again trying to angle my hips away from him. You really know how to creep a guy out. I lift up on the handle, but the door doesn't open. Hey, unlock it! Something shoves hard into the small of my back, and I'm thrown forward to land with a wet splat against the hot metal of Flynn's truck. The hell? Something tall, skinny and muscular presses up against my back. Chills run down my spine as Flynn's muzzle snuffles into my ear, a low growling in his voice. You really think you can just tease me like that and get away with it? His paws slide around my body, between the car and my stomach, before moving up my chest. Okay, Flynn is a horny dude. I'm frozen that way, paws against the passenger window, as I stare in shock through it at the truck's steering wheel, though I'm not really seeing it. There's a pause, and I think it's because he's waiting for my response, to see if I tell him to stop or not. I don't though, and I lean my head back into his neck, feeling my entire body break out into goosebumps, as he rubs at my chest. You like it, don't you? I respond with a gasp, and his sharp teeth graze across one of my stubby ears, his hot breath sending another wave of chills over my skin. Okay, Flynn is definitely making a move on this guy. If it gets too spicy, I'm going to summarize and I'll see you there. His hand slides back down, slowly feeling out my body. Acting like a little slut, you didn't think this was going to happen? I stiffen a little under the remark and lift my tail up again between his legs. You're one to fucking talk. I'm not completely sure about what's going on, if this is a spur-of-the-moment thing, or if he's trying to prove a point. What I do know is that we both want it. Switch or let him do the work? Oh my god, what what is this? Alright, Flynn. Flynn's not too bad with his hands. I want to see what he does. Flynn pauses for a second, as if he's having second thoughts, but after a while he goes on. Damn, you're fucking hot. He rubs my stomach, which I suck in, and I have to keep from whimpering as one of his fingers teases at my belly button. I like skinny guys. Is that just a natural part of being an otter? I can tell that you don't work out. Hey, I still keep in shape. I swim. I can't go on, as he breathes into my ear again, making me gasp and lean my head back, biting my lip. Oh, sensitive ears, is it? Finally, he gets to my lower stomach and he pauses, waiting again for my response. Again, I don't say anything, instead pushing my butt back into his crotch and thighs. There's something mind-blowingly bizarre about having one of my childhood friends groping me like this, and it's got me all kinds of confused. This is an odd dynamic. I mean, Chase was already with Leo, but I guess he's gone to Flynn this time. It's odd. 3 years ago, just before I left, this would have been insane. No way in hell would have I been okay with this. But now, something about the time we've been apart has made all of this okay. And incredibly hot. I think not having any sort of release over the past few days has something to do with it. Okay, Flynn suddenly lets go, and then grabs me by the shoulder and turns me around roughly. Once my back is pressed firmly against the truck, he grabs my wrists and pins them up by my head. With my body fully exposed, he looks me over, a hungry look in his eyes. Where's Cole during all this, by the way? I just stand there, feeling vulnerable under his gaze, especially when it gets to my junk. His eyes flick back up to mine, and I look back at him, and then I give him a smirk. Flynn sneers back, and suddenly his head dives in. I have just a second to gasp before I feel his muzzle close around my neck and I freeze, fur standing up all over my body. Flynn gently undulates his head, getting his teeth past the thick fur on my neck to prick at the skin underneath. I stare at the sky, mouth hanging open, as I clutch at his chest, feeling the chuckle past his pecs as he keeps me pinned. Okay, Flynn's a biter. Then he presses his thick, strong tongue through my fur to tease at the flesh, pressing against the pulse in my neck. My knees go weak, and I sag against the truck, letting out a loud gasping whimper. This spurs the lizard on, and he lets out another chuckle, doing it again, clearly wanting me to make more noises. How the hell does he know all my weak spots? For some reason, I start to wonder if he's talked to Leo about me, and that brings up all kinds of complications I don't want to think about right now. I shove it to the back of my mind. Besides, I know Flynn's weak spots too. Flynn brings down my right paw from its position against the window, which is fine because it was starting to fall asleep. But then he presses it against his stomach. He's warm and soft, his leathery hide sliding smoothly along the muscles of his belly. It's clear he doesn't work out either, but I'm okay with that. I press against him and he gives a slight huff through his nostrils. Then he starts to slide my paw lower, past the waistband of his pants, under his boxers. Okay, here we go, skip. Okay, he's now drawing down Chase's back. You must have been a handful for Wolfie boy. He's not the type to easily submit. Flynn's right. Leo was a stubborn boyfriend, in and out of the bed. With a lot of coaxing, I could eventually get him to see things my way, but that hardly ever happened. I had a lot more energy as a teenager, more zest, I guess. It's hard to explain, but over the years I've just become more, well, exactly what Flynn's accused me of being. Personally, I just chalk it up to growing up. But right now, I do sort of feel like my old self, and it's kind of incredible. Hey, I'm a versatile otter. I like to trade off. I grin as Flynn guides my paw in his briefs, returning a smirk. Okay, what are we doing now? Tease. I'm about to place my paws on his torso when Flynn suddenly pulls back. He lets go of my wrists, the expression on his face strange again. He's looking for something. I'm confused, still sort of slack-jawed as I stare back at him. What? Slowly, his expression becomes more resolute, almost dark, as he steps back further away from me, folding his arms. Nothing. I just realised that Cole could see us. We shouldn't have done this here. Oh? He's acting like I started this? I'm feeling self-conscious now that he's clearly not interested in continuing. I turn away slightly, one paw against the car, as I angle my body so he can't see my dick anymore. I look back over my shoulder at him, feeling myself get angrier. Hey, you're the one. But he's already turned around and heading back toward the pond. I watch him go, feeling bewildered and maybe even a little hurt. Arsehole. I mutter it under my breath. Did he stop because he decided I wasn't up to his standards? That idea hurts even more because I imagine those are pretty low. I stand there for a while longer, feeling like a complete idiot, before finally heading back to the stream. I've picked up all kinds of shit from smearing my body against this dirty truck. I'll be sure not to let him take advantage of me so easily again. Okay, I think we're going to leave that there. That was a bit of a strange encounter. Flynn is a complicated guy, and it seems like he's got things that he's upset about, and he's also got his personal desires as well. Maybe we'll find out more in the next episode. This is Ushio signing off, and hopefully I will see you next time.